Now, if your father, for example, let's say your grandfather borrowed, let's say 1 billion from a bank, right? He started a company, he built houses, and then somewhere along the road he dies, right? Are you by that concept telling me that the bank has no right whatsoever to come back and repossess some of the things in case he is not, the family is not financing the loan?
If you see me in the streets, better holler at me. Seeking for a beat, throw them dollars at me. I don't like defeat, take that away from me. You tryna be like me, you couldn't handle my story. But we gon' let you know, we gon' let you know. We gon' let you know, we gon' let you know.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you once again for tuning in, and welcome back to yet another episode of Mr. J's Reaction. And what they call me, Jay, son of the sword, Motherlandian, living in the diaspora, and it's always a pleasure to have you on board. It's always a pleasure to see you checking me out. And before we do, man, I will keep recognizing everybody, the audience that's watching, man, and the United States, man, the United Kingdom, Nigeria, Kenya, South Africa, Mozambique, Zambia, Canada, Germany, Italy, man, and any other person that has been chiming in. I love you. It's a beautiful thing, and you are family, Don't forget, man, before we do get started, give us a thumbs up, man. Like this video, leave a comment, and of course, for $0, man, you can literally be part of the family so that you can get every vlog that I drop. And ladies and gentlemen, we've been dropping a vlog every day on the platform, talking about various things that are happening to the continent of Africa. And let me lean back a little bit. And a couple of hours ago, man, I did drop something about reparations. And it actually struck a nerve with some of you guys, because so many people were like, man, I do not support the whole reparations ideology, and some of you are upset. And I saw your comments. Of course, I do see every comment that comes in, and I reply to 99% of these comments. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I will say this, man. This vlog is actually to talk about reparations. Let's talk about reparations, and let's talk about the whole interview that the president of Guyana, man, Dr. Mohamed Ifan Ali, and the British journalist, man, he was on this talk show, and they're talking about Guyana, the oil boom, and then slavery. And ladies and gentlemen, the whole topic of paying reparations for slavery act, for slave trade, it's really not one which most of the descendants of slave owners and those who participated in the slave trade business like to talk about. And I do understand you, and I know that it sounds like it's unfair for the third or the fourth or the fifth generation of a slave owner or slave business entity to be paying reparations. But just like the president of Guyana mentioned, just like he explained. By the way, let me first of all just let me just play the interview. Let's hear what the president of Guyana had to say, and then I will come back and then I will talk. I want to play the response that he gave to the British journalist who was kind of like pissed that countries are asking for reparation for slavery. Let me just play it.
You should be concerned, and you should pay, because you today are still benefiting from the greatest indignity to a human being, and that is the slave trade. And not only did you benefit during the slave trade and your country developed, but look at what it caused the developing world. During slavery, resources was used to build your country, build up your capacity. You were able to then become competitive. You know, if you go into many of the palaces in Britain, you will see the lovely green heartwood from Guyana. You will see the sweat, tears, and blood of the slaves who were exploited. We're not asking for a palace, we're asking for justice.
Alright guys, welcome back. So you heard from His Excellency Mohammed Ifan Ali of the Republic of Guyana, and this is not even something we should be talking about. But I think that based on your comments to the vlog I dropped a couple of days ago, it's necessary. Let's talk about it. So His Excellency Ifan Ali was like, man, you are benefiting of slavery. You're beneficiaries of the slave trade, a business that was so demonic, a business that robbed Africans or black people of human resource, and you are being asked to pay reparations to that act, which so many white folks have tried to deny that it even existed. So many white folks have tried to whitewash it, paint it, like the governor in Florida who said that blacks benefited and learned skills from the slave trade, which that's a whole different topic for a whole different day. Now, your great grandparents were actively involved. I don't know how long ago that was, but let's say 400 years ago, 500 years ago, were actively involved with the slave trade. You still have the DNA. I've said this before. DNA doesn't change. Even 1,000 years to come, your DNA is still going to be the same. Now, you are vehemently like this, you know, some of you commented that you do not support the fact that countries should be paying reparations for slavery. But when you think about it this way, I'm going to use a different approach. Now, ladies and gentlemen, to anybody who left a comment against this whole concept of paying reparation for slave trade, now, if your father, for example, let's say your grandfather borrowed, let's say 1 billion from a bank, right? He started a company, he built houses, you know, and then somewhere along the road he dies, right? Are you by that concept telling me that the bank has no right whatsoever to come back and repossess some of the things in case he is not, you know, the family is not financing the loan, if you're not paying back monthly payment on the money that your grandfather borrowed? Now, if you are of the opinion that the bank has the right to repossess some of these properties because of the money that your grandfather borrowed, think about slavery this way. That's what slave trade was. You went to countries, you went to a continent, you went to Africa, you took people, human resource, in this case, let's say human resource, human beings, human lives, some of who died before they even got to their final destination because you maltreated these people. So you robbed families of some of their distant relatives. You took these people who got to your part of the world, you put them in plantations, they built your railroad, they built your things, you know, you treated them like horrible piece of, you know, garbage. And then their descendants down the road are asking you, for the purpose of doing that, you need to make some payment. You need to be, at least, be remorseful. Because if all the manpower that was taken away from Africa were in Africa, bro, Africa would have been a different thing. Yes, some of you come with the explanation, oh, some of the Africans were involved in the slave trading too. It's not just Europeans. Of course, but you corrupted them, because before you came into Africa, no African king knew that it was possible to capture his fellow African and straight off. But you came into the continent with this flashy, shining things like, yo man, if you give me 10 of your brothers, man, I will give you a hat, I will give you clothes, I will give you shoes, I will give you this. You brought that whole concept to the continent, and today they are starting to actually to make payment for some of these atrocities, and you are uncomfortable. Be it what it is, man. Reparations, to my opinion, it's necessary to heal that wound, because it will stay there for as long as possible. And the money, the economies that some of these slaves helped to build and develop, some of you guys are benefiting till today. And yes, let me say this, not every European country was involved in slave trade. Let me just point that out, because some of you misquoted Mr. J and you've mistook some of my vlogs that I've dropped. Yes, not all of these European countries were actively involved or even involved with slave trade. But the few that were involved, those who were not involved today, you guys are kind of like supporting these people, which is why we ask for reparations. So I will end this vlog by saying this. I want you to leave a comment and let me know. Do you think reparation for slavery is necessary? Let me put it. Do you think paying reparations to some of these countries is going to help these countries and their economies develop too? Leave a comment. I'm out here. Be good and be nice.
Creation, reaction, God. Big up TRB family. Mr. J, I see you. I know some artists don't do this. God bless you and your families.